everybody, and welcome to Superheroes Speak. I'm your host, Dave.
And I'm the other dude, Don.
The other dude, Don. I like that.
Other dude, yeah.
So, you know what, boys and girls, we had this idea. We were like, well, Don originally come up with an idea to talk about Marvels because of the after credit scene, and I said,
Yeah.
oh, let's do a show about all of the after credit scenes that haven't been fulfilled yet in Marvel. I was thinking because I thought of one or two. Don thought of one or two. I started putting a list together. There are 11 on our list for tonight. So yeah, it's really got us thinking. So yeah, that is what we are talking about tonight. There's really nothing news-wise to talk about. We all know that Superman is coming out next weekend, and then Fantastic
But we'll have
Four.
one more show before that. So,
Right.
This can't officially be the hype yet.
Yes, yeah, we'll get to the hype when it's time to hype. So yeah, so yeah, that is the topic for tonight. So that's what you got, boys and girls. So before we get to that, how are you doing, Don? How was your 4th? Did you blow up part of the country to celebrate its freedom?
Well, I didn't do it, but my boss did. I had a great 4th of July because one of my bosses throws a huge July 4th party. This is first year that I worked for him, so he invited me over there. And he lives on the shore of Lake Erie, which, I live a mile from Lake Erie. But he lives right on the shore. He's got this sweet backyard that, has a staircase that goes down to a fucking private beach.
Oh, wow.
And as he takes me over there, this private beach had about 200 boxes of those. I don't know how to describe them. They're just a big fucking box. You light a wick, and then it shoots a bunch of fucking different mortars and looks like damn near professional. So one of those, is like, I think at other parties we've maybe mustered to have 5 or 6. But yeah, he showed me, and there was like 40 fucking boats just sitting there in the water, ready to watch this shit. So it was awesome because like we were right there. That shit went off right in front of us. And it was just, they had a hot dog food truck there, ice cream, sitting there with my twisted tea. So I had a great 4th of July with the family.
Sounds good.
Yeah, went and then, took my little John boat with my son and his friend. We went down the river, which like it's fucking 90 degrees. I'm like, we're not going to catch nothing, but I'll show you some holes I know of. I caught one catfish. I must have brushed up against his whisker with my bait, and he snapped, and I got it. So, and totally skunked there. And then, I know this isn't music hero speak. In fact, even people that know me know that Don really doesn't care about music that much. Kassan, guys only want one thing, and it's disgusting seeing things go boom. Yeah, hey. It was awesome because this dude was like tossing, I don't know what he was tossing, but it was literally in the lake. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not going to do nothing. And boom. It's like, oh, shit. Okay. Oh, holy crap. Yeah. So it was definitely cool. But again, back to my point. Music isn't a huge thing for me. Now, Dave, he plays guitar. I know nothing about fucking playing music instruments or anything like that. But Black Sabbath is my favorite band. Ozzy Osbourne is like my favorite lead singer. And over the weekend, the original members of Black Sabbath got together, did like 3 or 4 songs for this big, Ozzy Osbourne retirement tour. And it just made me feel proud to be a Black Sabbath fan because they are the fathers of heavy metal, heavy rock music. They're all still alive. They're all still capable, except, Ozzy did have to sit on a throne, and it even looked like he tried to get up a couple times and couldn't. So that part was, but again, I'm not a big music guy, but I love that band. Tony Iommi, as far as like guitar goes, I love Hendrix. I love Jimmy Page, but Tony Iommi is to me the best. Geezer Butler's not the best bassist. He's my second. No one will ever overtake Geddy Lee from Rush. Look him up. But other than that, just I don't know, great tribute to my favorite band and the fact that they got to come together, play one last time. I saw them, the original lineup, back up in like 2000. I'm not a concert going guy, so I've only seen like 2 bands in concert, and then one was Black Sabbath. We actually Godsmack opened up for them, so that's how long ago it was. Well, nobody even cares about Godsmack anymore now. Anyway, and White Zombie. So I don't know. That was cool, man. It's kind of sad to see the dude couldn't stand, but just great to see the tribute to him. And I just never seen a band have a better send off. And I'm glad it's my favorite, Black Sabbath. So that was my America 4th of July weekend, Dave. How about you, buddy?
It was okay. Hold on, real quick. Christopher Smith says, "I live in Columbus and had the kids that live on the next door to me letting up fireworks in the middle of the street." That is in every city. It'll be going on here for a couple of weeks here in Philly. And
well, no, not every. Well, you live in Philly, so it's not every town, but I know what he's talking about there. Yeah. Just some cities, they go crazy.
And Kassan says, guy says he's not a music guy and then dissects the skill level of half a dozen guitarists.
I'm just a ridiculous person.
And you're wrong about a lot of things. The greatest guitarist ever lived is Eddie Van Halen. Sorry. There is no discussion.
I don't think you're wrong either, buddy. That's I guess that's kind of how I am. Like, your best guitarist is your best guitarist.
Yes. That is true. I actually saw a thing the other day where it was in my reels or whatever, and it was a girl playing the drums, and she's playing "Good Times, Bad Times" by Zeppelin, and she says, "I dare you to name a drummer better than John Bonham. Go ahead, I'm waiting." And everyone is answering Neil Peart, of course, right? And it's just like, and the thing is, and nothing against Neil Peart, because he's one of the greatest drummers who ever lived, but
just for the newbies in the room, what band is he from?
Rush. You just said Geddy Lee, so how could you not?
Yes. No. I'm not. I wasn't doing that for me.
Oh, okay. Yes. But Rush they were prog rock, and they wrote complex parts. So he had to play basically the exact part every time they played, right? Because they were these complex meters, and it would change and it would go back and forth and whatnot. Where John Bonham was more of like just he was just a musician who was part of a quartet where he's holding the feel of the song, and he's pushing or slowing down the tempo, but he's a musician and he can play with the parts. Like, if you listen to live recordings of any Led Zeppelin song, he didn't play the drums exactly the same every time,
Right.
Same thing with Jimmy Page and the guitar parts, and the same thing with John Paul Jones and the bass parts. Like, they were 4 independent musicians who clicked together. But it's also what made John Bonham so great, is that he was more than just a guy keeping time, and because, like, it's funny. When I was in bands and I was playing drums, someone called me a drum machine one time because, like, I had a tendency to, like, write a part and stick to it,
Yeah.
And like that kind of like made me want to like experiment more, and I got more into Bonham after that. So it's just like, yeah. Well, one off on a tangent. My 4th was great. Went over to the girlfriend's, we did a barbecue, just small in the house. She made these amazing ribs, a couple steaks and some burgers.
Yeah.
And
that's what it's about.
But what I was going to say is, so she's decided to I wouldn't use the word renovation. She decided to refresh her kitchen, to paint it and make a couple little fixes to it. And then she's going to get new appliances. And her plan was to do it this weekend. And she actually had started she had gotten the supplies the other night. We went out, she got the supplies, and she had started a couple little things. Like, she had she was off all last weekend, so she had cleaned everything. Like, I mean, anyone who has ever painted a kitchen knows that grease builds up on everything in a kitchen from cooking in general, and so you have to scrub everything before you can even sand and prime everything. And so so I spent the night on Friday, and when you're in a relationship long enough, you get the hints very quickly. You get the subtle signs of, she brought me coffee in bed, like early in the morning, like around 9 o'clock, which meant get up, get going, because I want to get you out so I can start working on my kitchen.
Yeah,
because I offered to help, but her 3 boys were going to help, and she's got a small kitchen, so it would have been difficult.
Right,
with
there's only
person. Yeah,
exactly.
So
yeah, you're right about those hints, though. But my wife does the thing where, like, if she doesn't like what I'm wearing, is that what you're going to wear? Or
yeah,
or if I'm in bed, she wants to put me up. Are you going to get up, or are you going to lay there? It's like, okay.
Yeah, women are like that.
Are you going to mow the lawn? Apparently I am.
Oh God, they all do that, isn't it? So yeah, and then it's funny because I had to, I have a one of those quote unquote portable air conditioners, where you have like hook the hose up into the window in my bedroom, and it leaked the other day because I didn't realize I had knocked there's a cap on the back where you drain it from when it gets filled up with water, and I had knocked it loose. I didn't realize, so it all leaked out of that. It was all over the floor, and I dried it, but I also didn't realize like it soaked through, and there was a stain in the ceiling in the front bedroom, the front room, and so I had to like paint the ceiling in there today, and I realized like I'm old.
Yeah.
I had an air conditioner on there, but it was still like, I was tired when I was done. So
I bet
this is the reason I'm a software engineer and not a laborer. But yeah, that was my weekend. So we got a lot to talk about. So
apparently we do.
Before we get to that, here's our good friend Darth Don to tell you where you can find more superhero speak.
Darth Don here. You must subscribe to Superhero Speak if you haven't already. And if you have already, make another account and subscribe again. You also will like this video. And while you're on the HoloNet, go to superheroespeak.com. Find the links to our merch and purchase one of our shirts. Don't skimp on the shipping, or else I will trap you in a box with an agitated gundog named Brie Lawson. I would just force lightning you, but we don't have that in the effects budget. Now, back to the show.
All right. So I wanted to, before we get into all of these films, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on each one, but we will go over some of them. The concept of a post-credit scene, right? It's a long tradition in the MCU. It starts with the first Iron Man movie and him coming into his office, and there's I was going to say Tony Stark. Tony Stark comes into the office, and there's why can't I think of his name? Samuel Jackson. Nick Fury.
Nick Fury.
Yeah. Nick Fury sitting behind the desk, and he's like, "I'm here to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative," right? Which kicked off the whole MCU. Basically, it's the after credit scene that's launched the MCU. But the thing I want to point out is like, okay, so Iron Man was a gamble. Like everyone, we've talked about that many times. They didn't know if there would be a sequel or not, but
Right.
They knew if it had been successful, that was the goal, was to get to an Avengers movie, right? Because they had Cap and Hulk and Thor, like they're the characters they had the rights to, and it's like, oh well, there you go, there's the Avengers, boom, the rest is history. And then of course the after credit scene became a thing of basically at first setting up the next movie that was coming, like that was already filming or done and you knew it was coming, like Thor's hammer showing up in the middle of the desert, set up the Thor movie. I don't remember which movie that was in, and then so on and so forth. Like there wasn't they weren't setting up something that was a concept or was 10
Right.
movies out. It was the
Right.
next movie or within 2
Yeah.
movies. Like you knew it was coming. There was no like, oh, are we going to do this? Aren't we going to do this? And it feels like in the last phase or so, they started setting up stuff that they didn't even have scripts for.
Yeah.
And they didn't know where these things were going. And I'm sure you're going to you like to point this out, and it's true. The pandemic also hit shortly after this stuff started, I think, or before, or this was like right after the pandemic, and everything was up in the air. And yeah, James has a good point. A lot of times they are market research to see how people react. But it feels like, and I'm going to start with the first one here. Shang-Chi was the first movie in my list of like, ooh, here are post-credit scenes that haven't paid off yet.
Yeah. Good movie, by the way. Just putting that out there.
So there's the post-credit scene where they're all in a room, and they've got Bruce Banner and Carol Danvers, and I can't remember who the third person is on video phone, and it's Wong and Shang-Chi and his friend, and they're looking at the rings and through like a spectrometer or whatever, and they're saying, oh, it's giving off a signal and it's going into deep space. That was how many years ago?
Yeah.
And there has been no mention of that since that movie came out. And I don't know. So I guess what I want to try to say is like, can we think of, is that ever going to be anything? Or were they kind of just maybe setting up Shang-Chi 2, which they haven't got to? Or was it something else that we're not thinking about? Was that actually what the after credit scene was? So
back.
Go ahead.
Well, back when that had first happened, I remember a lot of people suggesting that the way the rings looked, they looked like technology that Kang would use. So I think, and we'll touch upon this more, but I think the whole Jonathan Majors getting fired may have disrupted that. I think that'd probably be the root cause there.
But, because that was 2021. Actually, I wanted to.
But he's coming back, right? Shang-Chi?
Yes.
I swear I've seen something, or we even maybe talked about that. He's coming back.
I think he's in Doomsday. So, yeah.
We may get that one revisited.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, because someone was saying, one of the theories was, because again, this is when 2021, we're still on the road to Kang Dynasty. Oh, not actually deep space. It's a signal out to the quantum realm, and they were like, it's going to tie in with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
it didn't. I mean, Shang-Chi was. I mean, not Shang-Chi. Kang was in obviously Quantumania, but
he didn't mention anything about 10 rings or anything like that,
right? Or a signal that he was sending out, or receiving or whatever. So, yeah. So that's yeah. So that's number one.
Okay.
And then the Eternals gave us 2 post-credit scenes that have had. So the first one was some of the Eternals are in the ship, that's adrift. They're confronted with another celestial, and then all of a sudden, Eros, or as people who read Marvel Comics know him, Star Fox, the brother of Thanos, shows up into the ship and says he knows where the rest of their allies are. And now, Eternals did not do well. It is considered the first big Marvel failure.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it's weird because it's also what it was someone famous who plays him.
Kit Harington, right? He was gonna be the Black Knight. Which,
right. No, it's it's a famous singer. So anyway,
yeah.
while I'm typing that in, but yeah, like there's been no mention of Star Fox, Thanos' brother, since that scene, and it's like, what do we like?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that it was a bomb. It was like Marvel's first bomb.
Right.
And
I feel like I was gonna say I feel like maybe it was the setup for a sequel, but I don't know. Harry Styles, that's it. It was Harry Styles who played him. Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know who that is, so I'm really not a music guy. But but I think that one. Okay, so the whole Eternals thing is interesting because Disney was convinced by Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, that it could branch out into these, B, C level characters and make something of it because we did it with Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, we just didn't care. It just wasn't, which again, I think I mentioned on the show before, had a fucking Superman equivalent guy running around and just, I don't know. And I'm a power porn guy, but it just somehow just made it very, very uninteresting. It just, I mean, everyone had all these crazy, fantastical powers and look, there's a fucking celestial Asherim and oh my God. But it was just like, but nobody cares about these characters. No one feels they're like the whole, like, you just fucking sat there and watched Thanos do this.
When they said the whole time their job was to protect humanity, and yet they did nothing.
Half of it was gone in an instant, and we don't fucking know you. Like, like it's just like the Dora Milaje, I can never remember her name, the head one there, when Scarlet Witch finally came down and started fighting. She's been up there the whole time. Like, yeah, that's how I feel. Like, oh, this guy just flying around with fucking space lasers out of his eyes has just been chilling. So all that equivalating to no one gives a fuck about this Eternal movie. So yeah, I could see them saying no one cares, we're not going to do this. They paid off the whole celestial coming out of the earth thing, but it took a while for them to do that. And they just, like I said, they just recently did it. So I think that one is a victim of no one cares about the Eternals. They thought that we would love it. Oh, Marvel's back, or here Marvel's going again. But it wasn't interesting. So
but then the
other, I think they're cutting the limb off on that one. Like, oh, we're gonna worry about that. Like some Raikage. That's a Naruto reference. Sorry.
Well, the other after credit scene was Dane Whiteman. Who was Kit Harington. Is opening up a case, and there's an ancient sword in there. And then all of a sudden, here's a voice being pulled away, and the voice was Mahershala Ali, who was to play Blade.
Yeah.
They don't show him in the clip, but you hear his voice, and it was like, oh, okay. So Black Knight and Blade are going to team up. Is this going to be our Midnight Suns movie? Like, what's, what are we going to get here? And what you call it? So Kasan had actually shared a article in our Discord that I feel is kind of related to this. Uh, that the producer on Sinners, which is I think coming out on streaming next week, said that a lot of the costumes that they had were costumes that were supposed to be for the Blade movie that they're not going to use. So they ended up getting to use them for this movie. Now,
Yeah.
does that mean that Blade is definitely not happening, or does that just mean it was put on the shelf so the production company who made the company who made the costumes for the production like was going to lose money, so they just sold them to this other the other production company making Sinners. So but yeah,
Boy,
like
that's such an interesting thing, the Blade property. Because as you say that, I'm like, hell yeah, we're going to get another Blade. Like, we have to. Like, that's actually, you mentioned kickstarting the MCU with, the end credit scene. But really, Blade was the beginning, man, of superhero movies. Now, again, back in the 90s, you'd splice it with vampires, and it couldn't lose, right? Because vampires are all the fucking rage for like 20 fucking years for some reason. So okay, it wasn't a comic. I mean, it was a comic book movie, but it just wasn't perceived by the normies. It just wasn't a thing. But they still liked it,
right,
for good reason. So there's no way there can't be some sort of Blade. But whatever went down, because I remember being excited about that other actor. Was it Mahershala Ali?
Yeah,
I would say, hey, okay, great. Because I thought Wesley Snipes was completely off the radar.
Right. We all did.
But here they go. He's having some problems with this movie, which, I mean, the reports being that they wanted to make some like feminist bullshit. So that so that started causing fucking problems with the main actor. And then so that sizzled. And then we get fucking Wesley Snipes in Wolverine and Deadpool.
I still don't understand, in all honesty, Mahershala Ali, how he must have felt when he's trying to get this movie off the ground. He wants to play Blade. He's got he's all in. He even does the voice in that movie, setting up something. It keeps falling through. And again, it also goes back to they're setting something up before they even had a script. They had cast him. They didn't have a script. They didn't have a director. They didn't have nothing. They cast this poor guy. He does the voice in an after credit scene. And now all this BS is happening behind the scenes. And then he watches Wesley Snipes come back in a multiverse movie as Blade before he gets a chance to play him. So, yeah.
I think that's Deadpool's fault, man. Actually, now that we're talking about it a little bit, Deadpool did that, right? They just kind of had that test footage. Obviously, they had the actor with Ryan Reynolds that had passion, and they pulled it off, to the nth degree.
Oh yeah.
So I honestly kind of, I blame is a strong word, I guess, but they did it, and Marvel thought they could do it, but no, they didn't.
Kasan says, I think that they'll find another actor, Mahershala Ali. By the time they actually lock him down a new script, he may be pushing 55. He is currently 51. So, yeah, unfortunately. Real quick, James said, Eternal weren't a great book. It was an act of ego and avarice, not artistic creation. Yeah, again, because they could take the Guardians of the Galaxy and be like, look, we made a great movie with a property no one cares that much about. But the problem with the Eternals was they didn't have James Gunn helming that movie, and making it fun. Like they made a serious movie with characters that no one knows. They gave
no one knows, and in the end, didn't have any relatable characters.
No,
like who is there to relate to in the Eternals? Because they're all just vapid, aloof. Again, people just fucking sat there and watched Thanos wipe out half universe's population.
So, well, I will say this: the next movie, I do think we will soon get payoff for, and of course, that is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Ended with Clea showing up and saying, "You caused an incursion, and now we have to go fix it." And she opens up a portal. Now, people are saying it's a dark dimension. I don't think there was anything that confirms that was the portal that she opened up, but she opens up a portal and they both jump into it. That's the end of that. So, like, there's an argument that that's setting up Doctor Strange 3, but I think it's more setting up Doomsday and Endgame, not Endgame, Secret Wars. So, what do you think? I mean,
it already happened.
You think do you think it's that's where that was leading to, like, Doomsday?
Well, I remember seeing that for the first time, and when she said incursions, I perked up like, "Whoa, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I believe that that's actually one that we're going to get some payoff, because of course it's Doctor Strange, a character that everyone cares about.
Yes.
But let me ask you, I'll give my opinion, but I just want yours about this. Do you believe she is correct when she says Doctor Strange is the reason for the incursions? I don't.
No, because he fixed the one he caused in No Way Home. Like, he cast a spell which fixed that incursion. So, and then him going through, like, see, because they're all over the map on, like, what an actual incursion is in the MCU, but in that movie they kind of set it up like an incursion is the universe is coming to an end that you're in, and yeah, I don't think it's him. I think it's going to be Doom causes this incursion. Yeah, and that's what it is. Yeah, that's my guess. Well, we shall see, but I do think that is one that's going to pay off. So far we're at, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 out of 4 we feel will have a payoff.
Okay.
Love and Thunder ended with Thor Love and Thunder had an after credits scene of Zeus basically sending out Hercules to go kill Thor, and just quote unquote disgrace his image. So, based because of what happens in Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
We don't know if we're going to get a Thor 4. Or Thor 5. There's been talks back and forth on this. I believe the last thing we talked about on the show was there is going to be, but it will be the last. That will definitely be the last one. So it makes sense. Hercules versus Thor, like, that's, I mean, that's a way to go out. Use Hercules as the last villain. Even though Hercules really isn't a villain in the comics, but they have fought many times in the comics.
Yeah.
So it works on that level. I mean, I think they've used a lot of the best Thor villains already anyway.
Yep.
So, to go out with Hercules. So we'll put this in the it will possibly pay off category. What do you think?
I think it'll be a long time coming, because isn't Hemsworth's last hurrah as Thor in Doomsday and possibly Secret Wars? I personally think that the Thor character does need to go on some sort of hiatus in the MCU, just for a little bit. I mean, he's an important character, but maybe show some sort of payoff where he's the new All-Father or something. Thor's got all sorts of fucking crazy evolutions and forms and shit. I mean, The last Thor thing I read, he literally went up to Galactus, fucking killed him, and made his helmet the new Bifrost Temple. So, like, Thor is ridiculously powerful.
Yeah.
So you might have to Professor X him a little bit at some point, or put him on the shelf.
Kassan says Chris Hemsworth is demanding that if he returns for another Thor movie, that have an actual good script. He was not a fan of the last one. I believe that wholeheartedly, because Ragnarok, a lot of things in Ragnarok were due to them sitting down with Chris Hemsworth and saying, "What do you want to see out of the character?" Like, they all have reported that has happened at some point with the actors who were continuing on. They've done that with Mark Ruffalo about Hulk, and they did it with Chris Hemsworth about Thor, which is how we ended up with Thor with short hair, a little bit more comedy in the movie, and ending up with the best Thor movie, right? Like Ragnarok arguably is the best Thor movie. What happens is then it becomes successful, and then they say to Taika Waititi, "Oh, you made a really great movie. Come back and do it again, and now you have free reign to do whatever you want." And he goes over the top with a lot of the stuff, where he is telling a serious movie, but then goes over the top with some of the comedy and ends up basically, making a very unbalanced movie. And I can understand why Hemsworth was upset with it, with the final product.
Want to hear a shitty take by me?
Sure. You're good at that.
I like Thor Ragnarok. I did.
You mean Love and Thunder?
Or Love and Thunder. So you're right. Of course you did. I actually think I liked it better than Ragnarok. Yeah, I just.
All right.
But bonus unresolved storyline here, I guess a little bit of a deep cut, is of course Gore the God Butcher is using the Necro sword in that movie.
Yeah.
That's Null's sword. Which I thought maybe we'd see some sort of crossover since they introduced Null in the Venom movies, but now that's been completely scrapped. So,
yeah.
Hey, look at this, buddy. Yeah. Come on, man. James Burton says, I loved Love and Thunder. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I like Natalie Portman. The Jason Aaron female Thor thing is cool to me. I don't know. Even when in Zeus flicks off his clothes, you flick too hard. Like, I don't know. That was because it was, man. The Gore the God Butcher shit was serious. So I kind of got, what's that, Dave? Go ahead. Call it.
You like Hemsworth's butt. We know. We get it.
Right. Well, it doesn't hurt the wife's mood. I'll tell you that much.
Well, there you go. All right. So we're going to put this one in the possible category.
Yeah.
Frosty doesn't think they're going to revisit it. So we'll see. I don't see Russell Crowe coming back to play Zeus. That's the thing. All right. Wakanda Forever. So that ends up with Shuri on the beach, and Nakia shows up with her son, who's named after her father. They pulled a Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
T'Challa. So T'Challa has a son. And then we're going to have the animated series is going to be coming on soon on Disney Plus. The Eyes of Wakanda. I don't know. Like, I saw the commercial for it real quick. I didn't really pay that close attention to it, because I was waiting for the show to come out. But when they did that scene, this is what I want to say. When they did that scene, I'm like, oh, now they're going to do something because they're playing with the multiverse. They're going to do a time jump, and they're going to recast T'Challa and have a new T'Challa Black Panther in the MCU. We haven't gotten it. I don't know if they're going to do anything with it. I don't know if it would piss people off or not, but I like that's where I want to see it go. And then there's also the possibility like that's it. We're just never going to hear from the son again. But what do you think?
I believe this one will pay off. I think this one is going as long as it is because of the very delicate way I think they are handling the T'Challa character, I'll say. And me and you have said it before, and I'm sure they realize this to some degree. You cannot just not have a T'Challa Black Panther in your MCU Marvel universe.
Right.
You can't. So I feel that their original plan, and maybe it's their plan now, still, is that Shuri gets her time as Black Panther, whether we like it or not. But at some point, yes, it'll now. Then we will just get to experience the rise of T'Challa again. Not a bad plan. Certainly far and away from the comic books. But that's just kind of my feel that at some point, we'll get I don't want to say but we'll get a T'Challa Black Panther. And he'll just fulfill that role that important character would otherwise have. So yeah. I think because Shuri is still the Black Panther, they're still progressing with that storyline with Wakanda. We've seen evidence of that in Ironheart. So that I think that's a long game kind of thing because they really want to deal with that character in a very delicate way due to how Chadwick Boseman, just that whole thing. They got to use a real precise scalpel here, and they're not wrong, but there needs to be a T'Challa.
Yes, Frosty. His son is also T'Challa. Kassan says, "Hey, T'Challa from Universe 1156, come to the 616 universe and ignore your people, family, nation, universe. We need you in front of the camera." So, Kassan, in Secret Wars, then the updated the new Secret Wars comic, like that was Doom stitching together different universes into a battle world, and then at the end of that story, they all collapse into a single universe, which is why Miles Morales now lives alongside Peter Parker in the 616 universe. So the thought process is that is what they're going to do with this. They're going to now bring in characters from other universes. This way you can shortcut the X-Men. You can shortcut in a new T'Challa. You can shortcut in a new Captain America if you want to collapse the universe. And now you've got a fresh new set of characters to go forward with. So, yeah, like I think there is a possibility of that. We shall see. But yeah, like Don also pointed out, they're being very careful with how they're handling T'Challa because of Chadwick Boseman. Do you think Marvel will get rid of the multiverse for a little bit? Yeah, I think.
I certainly hope so.
Frosty says, "God, I hope so." I think so.
Frosty gets it.
I think people are tired of it. It makes things more confusing and a little hard to follow. So I think they will collapse it until they need to do something weird again, and then boom boom, multiverse is back.
Honestly, I think it should just be their reboot engine. That's all I want with them all. Which is a kind of a DC thing, I admit. But
that's when you need to reboot. Crisis. That's what
you either need to do that or keep them ageless. That that's been a problem in the comics. You got to go one or the other. You got to reboot every now and then, or you got to decide, fuck it, Peter Parker's 16 for 87 years, which I don't see anything wrong with that. But that's just me.
Does that mean Loki is dead? Well,
no,
not necessarily.
Unemployed. I think that's going to be a major thing.
Unemployed. I think Loki will be unemployed, and then he'll be in Thor 4, and then or 5, and that'll make everyone happy.
I think Loki's about to get some sort of beat down by Doom. And then, well,
the scene that so now let's come to the after credit scene that will never, ever, ever, ever pay off, ever, unfortunately, and that is Quantumania and the Council of Kangs.
you don't think it'll ever? You don't believe the rumors that they might recast him as Kang again, or?
I'll believe it. I'll honestly believe it when I see it. But that comes back to what we were saying earlier, is that a lot of this stuff was set up because they had a plan, and then when they decided to scrap the Kang plan and switch to Secret Wars Doom, like that means that these after credit scenes and these little things that they set up are now gone, or at least way on the back burner for now, which is unfortunate, because that felt like they were going to do something cool with it, and it did not pan out. So
yeah, I was never a big fan of Kang to begin with in the comics. I always think he kind of comes in and, I don't know, does some shit. It's like, oh, why are the Apocalypse twins running around? Oh, it's Kang, like that sort of thing. So,
says Kang is no match for an ant colony. Kang is dead. That version of Kang. Jeez, do you not understand the multiverse? But you're right. Yeah, I mean, he's the character. He's the time travel character that they've retconned a dozen times in the comics and used to to retcon things and change things and whatnot. And it kind of, in some ways, kind of became a joke in the comics because of it. But I felt like they could have done something really cool with him. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen, at least not anytime soon. So we shall see. So, okay.
Time travel is tricky business.
Yes, it is. Especially when they don't follow their own time travel rules from movie to movie in the MCU. But we're not talking about that today. All right, the Marvels, which is what kicked off this conversation.
Yeah, I almost tried to make you watch the Marvels, and you successfully pivoted this subject. So good deflection, Dave. Good on you.
Yes. So we'll get to your scene in a second, because I do think the one that you pointed out will pay off. But also the movie ends with, because Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, is now a full-fledged superhero. She teamed up with Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau and saved the universe from the problems that Carol Danvers caused. I don't want to get into all that because it was it was a better movie than the first one. But Carol Danvers is a bitch. Anyway,
well, it's comic accurate.
Yes. So she goes to start a new super group, and she goes, and we see her recruiting Kate Bishop. So there's something that they have been teasing in the background for a long time, and I'm going to ignore Hassan's comment there. They've been teasing in the background, which is, of course, Young Avengers.
Yeah.
And I'm that feels like that's been teased a dozen times at this point. I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I feel like they don't have a plan. They're setting stuff up, but they don't have a plan for it. So there's no steam behind it. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you know what? And, good on that, because I know they've been setting up the Young Avengers, but honestly, they shouldn't set up this huge, Avengers level shit for them. Honestly, they should play the role of, remember how in Endgame, all the female superheroes came together and kicked some ass? I thought it was a cool scene, but that's what they should do. Sometime in Secret Wars or whatever, they should play some super sweet, awesome pivotal, fantastical part. Well, okay, good on them. We couldn't be able to do this without those young Avengers doing their thing. And then, that's it. Move on. Give us a TV show, Young Avengers, all day long.
Yeah.
But don't set up a movie or fucking trilogy because we don't care that much about Young Avengers. That's what they need to learn. Who do we really? Who's what are the box office comic book characters, and what are the? Hey, I ain't got shit to do. I'll watch on Disney.
Well, I mean, Frosty says it here. Young Avengers could be a TV
Frosty
series,
gets me.
not a good movie. Yeah. Kassan says, "Do Young Avengers like High School Musical?"
Listen, man, the kids will probably like that shit.
Yeah.
That's what you need. You need the kids.
And I think he's trolling you with this comment, Don.
Yeah, I know. X-Men is dead. Okay.
Okay.
Little something called X-Men 97. Check it out there, Kassan. Although to his point, the guy that created that shit and wrote that shit now doesn't work for Disney and is talking justifiably a bunch of trash about him. But that's a whole nother thing.
Which brings us to the other after credit scene from the Marvels, and that's Monica Rambeau got sucked into an alternate dimension. Where she is obviously in the sick bay at the X Mansion, and Beast, a CGI Beast, voiced by Kelsey Grammer, shows up, which gave us a preview of what we're going to get in Doomsday, I believe. And her mother, who is what's her mother's character's name? Star. Come on, what's the other X-Men?
See?
Oh my God! You know what?
What are you talking about?
The hold on.
See, this is the product of making movies about characters we don't give a fuck about. But
Binary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's a little newer X. I mean, I know you're talking about Binary, but okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So she's there. So, which kind of says, well, then are we not in the X-Men universe that we know? Because we've got Binary there, who we haven't seen before, but obviously ties in because it's her mother. So anyway, we're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But
I would say, we know there's a couple different beasts here, and we got the Kelsey Grammer one.
Right. I do think. So, I feel like this is paying off in Doomsday. Like that's, they didn't mention her character in the cast, but I do think that's where that's going to head. That's going to be the X-Men are going to be from that universe in Doomsday, and Monica will be with them. But that's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, no, my opinion was like, this is like the Marvel movie I did not go to the theaters to see. And then when it came out, and then I see that there's an after credit scene with Kelsey Grammer Beast. I'm like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? I mean, that's awesome because,
well,
if you say, go ahead.
It felt like, if I remember correctly, that was leaked online before the description of it was leaked online before the movie came out. And I feel like they did that on purpose to get people to go see the movie.
I didn't catch that, or else I might have done it because I was super surprised.
Yeah.
When I started seeing these leaks. And it's like, that's fucking Kelsey Grammer Beast.
Yep.
And if you were to say, hey, Don, what is your favorite casting? I'd say, okay, well, it's Ian McKellen Magneto, but honorable mention, Kelsey Grammer Beast. I mean, I love that casting. I'm just super happy, and I'm with you. I think that's going to pay off, and I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited, and it's also cool. I mean, obviously, this is kind of it's kind of cool, but if you're a non-X-Men fan and you're just an MCU fan, you've been introduced to, as far as X-Men go, Professor X, Beast, and Wolverine. And two of those, Beast and Wolverine, are actually like Avengers. They actually carry like dual team status.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Like it makes sense that those would be like one of the first X-Men have an Avengers shit. So although I guess Deadpool Wolverine's not Avengers shit, but it's MCU. So anywho, I like it. Even though the movie's shit, I didn't actually see it in the theaters, but it's still fucking cool.
All right. I got to apologize, but we got to talk She-Hulk.
Okay. All right.
So there were two scenes in She-Hulk that I don't know if they're going to go anywhere or not. The first one being the big one that Bruce Banner Hulk shows up with his son Scar at the family barbecue.
Yeah.
That was no. Like, I don't want it to go anywhere because that Scar was just like, really? Like, that's not a warrior who I should be afraid of. Like,
yeah. No, that's not someone who is born in fucking lava on the planet of Scar and only knew battle and survival and brutality for the first years of their lives. Not at all.
Yeah.
Looked like my son. Pampered white suburbanite kid.
There you go.
With the fucking hair over his eyes, like a deer. You ever see the deer with the shit stuck in his antlers? That's what he looked. Anyway.
Right. And not only that, and he was like dressed like his father. It's like, what the hell are they doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the funny thing. Like, I don't think they're going to do anything with it. It was I don't know. You kind of think they are because it's a weird add-on to just bring Scar in and then not do anything with it. But at the same time, like, everyone saw that and was like, this is trash. Like, we don't want this. Like, don't give us a suburban comedy, father trying to raise his alien son, Disney Plus series. Like, that's where I felt like they were going with that.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that, man. I don't know who told them, hey, we should totally neuter fucking Scar and introduce him to the MCU. I don't know. I don't get
it. James says, lame scene, lame way to introduce the best freaking Hulk story ever made. Conan Hulk killing whoever he wants, making New York a giant gladiator arena. So good. Yeah. So yeah, World War Hulk. Like, yeah, that's just Mahershala Ali is going to be voicing Blade in Marvel Zombies. Okay.
Well, they must have signed that contract already.
Yeah. That's probably true. Maybe it was recorded a while ago. Who knows? Yeah. And then the other thing that happened in She-Hulk, which was kind of a weird thing, is Wong shows up and frees Blonsky from his prison cell and takes him to Kajmatal.
Kamar-Taj, remember?
Kamar-Taj. Oh my god.
Kamar-Taj, yeah.
I only had one drink. I don't know why. So, like, that's weird, right? Because, like, Abomination shows up in Shang-Chi in that underground fight club. And Wong is the one, like, helping him, and then Wong saves him. Like, so there's something going on with Wong and Abomination that has been in a couple movies that has not paid off. Like, what's up with that? That seems like
I don't know what's up with that at all. It could, but I don't know why they would do that. I didn't understand the whole Wong Abomination relationship at all.
Yeah.
But with that said, Blonsky is an interesting character because whoever gave a fuck about the Abomination? The Abomination was just the anti-Hulk,
right?
Like the one villain amongst the villainous group that could stop the Hulk for 5 minutes, and make it so there could be a story that. But they brought him into the MCU. He was somewhat of an interesting character, when we see him in the Hulk movie. Right. But then they bring him back as and he's just this total hilarious character. And I don't know. Frosty says here, Tim Roth is a great actor, though. Yeah, no, that's thank you for helping me make my point because I was struggling with it, though. That actor, made that character to where like we do care. I do like Blonsky and the Abomination and want to see a little bit more there. Great actor. Loved him in Pulp Fiction. You remember him in Pulp Fiction? He was in the diner. He was the one that tried to rob the. Anyway.
Oh yeah, that's
great
right.
actor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're at an hour. Kassan's pointing out the light went out.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, how many have we got through? We're at an hour. I think Kassan will be happy tonight.
All right. Well, we're very near the end. There are 3 more. I
can get us 2 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
And the last one, we all know where that's going. Falcon and Winter Soldier. So Sharon Carter receives an official pardon from the U.S. government and a chance to return to her old division. And then he calls her contacts in Madripoor, announcing that they can have direct access to government resources and weapons, which I thought was going to be the setup of Brave New World. And there was no mention of Sharon Carter and Madripoor at all in Brave New World.
Yeah.
And that was complete BS.
I think, because I honestly thought that they were going to perhaps introduce, because Madripoor is a mutant place.
Right.
It's heavy in the X-Men. So I think they were originally going to start introducing some mutants through Madripoor. Maybe even Wolverine.
Possible.
But I think they've rethunked that. I think they went from, we've got to introduce the X-Men to, let's wrap up this multiversal thing. But because it's a multiversal thing, we can still have the X-Men. And as we know now, fast forward to today, we know that means that they're going to do some Fox X-Men shit still. We thought Deadpool and Wolverine was the big Fox X-Men send-off, but it's not. It's going to be perhaps Doomsday here. And then we're going to reboot the whole thing, and it's just going to be X-Men. So I think that they've decided that they're not going to integrate the X-Men the same way that they originally wanted to, which that might ultimately be a good idea.
Christopher Smith said he thought they were going to introduce her back in Armor Wars.
Well, perhaps, but that would actually right now.
I mean, that would make a lot of sense, but I think that is that's also one of those that's in I'll just say on hold at the moment. Like they're not moving forward right now with Armor Wars. So because again,
I think they fucked the James Rhodes character with the whole secret invasion thing now.
Oh yeah. That's the whole thing, right? Because I forgot. I didn't even mention Secret Invasion.
Yeah, no, it's better that you didn't,
but that's another storyline. Like, what's gonna go on with Rhodes? Because when was he replaced? How long was he a Skrull?
Rhodes, Nick Fury, is he just chilling in space now that his Skrull wife is?
He's chilling with his Skrull wife in space with their alien cat. Like that was the end of Nick Fury. What's Let's not worry about that anymore. We're in a brave new world now.
Yeah. That's awesome. Good job.
Yeah, no, I don't know, but yeah, like, Secret Invasion is a secret that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
So true, Frosty. So true. All right.
I
Yeah.
didn't hate that show, by the way, but I could understand why the world at large does.
Yeah. Oh, God, I remember.
Like, you know what though? That's the biggest fuck. Oh my God! I'm sorry to invent MCU plot things that didn't ever come, but that show in itself. Remember, it introduced the fact. Yeah, I know. They introduced the fact that there's millions of Skrulls on the Earth.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
they're never going to touch upon.
That's all. Like I said, I didn't bring up Secret Wars in this list, and it's like, Secret Invasion. I'm sorry, Secret Invasion in this list, and there is so much in that show that should have a major impact on everything that has happened since. And nope.
Like, from the way Secret War or Secret Invasion, we keep calling it Secret Wars, it's Secret Invasion. From the way that happened, like, we should have seen, like, you know, Skrulls try to stop the Red Hulk or something, you know, like, but
nary
anyway.
a word. And it's funny too, because
or at least dead Skrulls, right? Like, anyway, yeah, I gotta
kill a character and have them turn into a Skrull. They haven't done that at all either. But oh geez, and like because even the guy who was the president, like, just isn't the president anymore, and he had this like whole thing about going after the Skrulls, and then I think that just died. And of course, Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross didn't care about Skrulls anymore. He wanted to be the Red Hulk.
Yeah.
And but going back to Falcon and Winter Soldier, I will say that too. JD called that by like the second or third episode. It's like, oh, it's all going to be Sharon Carter. Like, she's behind all this. And it was just like, what? And then, it ended up being, it ended up being nothing right now. Kassan says Avengers Doomsday Doctor Doom will be a Skrull. Oh. And because why not? And the Fantastic Four will be all Skrulls and cosplay. Well, we'll get to that in a second. All right. So Brave New World, this was just dumb, and it doesn't really do anything. But so Sam goes to visit Stern in prison at the raft, and Stern, of course, is a genius because he's the leader and he can see all the probability, and he goes, how will he protect Earth from the others, and it's, which is akin to the was it Batman v Superman? No, it was Dawn of Justice.
No, the bell's been rung.
Yeah, the bell's been rung.
Right.
Ding, 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 ding. Stupidest scene ever. But yeah, like, I mean, obviously it's like forewarning of Doomsday, whatever. Like, okay. And then of course the last one, Thunderbolts. Need we say more? They're in the Avengers Tower, and you see the Fantastic Four rocket flying through space. And that's that. And of course it's 13 months later, which happens to coincide with the release of Brand New Day for Spider-Man. So we shall see. So, and speaking of that, okay, first off, there's been a lot of theories about that Fantastic Four ship. Some are saying that it's not even the Fantastic Four in there, that it's actually Dr. Doom in that ship. He stole it and is coming into our universe.
I don't think it's that at all.
What do you think it is? You think it is?
I don't think Doom would lower himself to use Reed's invention or creation to
Yeah.
survive. No, I do think it's a Fantastic Four. I think one of the things that they're going to set up, because we've heard that Sue Storm is actually going to be the leader.
Yeah.
And that really makes sense because much like Professor X, I'm and maybe normies or whoever or think, Professor X, Reed Richards, oh, they're so magnanimous, but they're not. Reed Richards does questionable shit. And it looks like one of the things that he may do is we've seen in the previews of Fantastic Four already. Oh, we'll protect you. He probably, so I think he's going to have to weigh heavy on his heart the fact that he's promised this whole earth. Nope, we got you, the Fantastic Four. We got you. We know everything. We're going to protect you. Oh, fuck. Here's this guy that eats planets. And the only thing we can do is save ourselves. And then boom, they're in that rocket. With their baby, Franklin Richards.
I hope that isn't it, because that would be terrible. But my son said something the other last night. We were eating dinner and we were talking about this, and he goes, "What if the Fantastic Four movie isn't actually a Fantastic Four movie? What if it's the Maker's origin story?"
There we go. We're talking.
What if Reed is the only one who survives and he's the one that's in that rocket and he becomes the Maker? That is some dark shit.
Yeah, I mean that's a hell of a way to introduce the Fantastic Four. I wouldn't advise them to do. I mean, hey, I'm all about it because I like the Maker. The Maker's a crazy, evil motherfucker that does so crazy shit, just like Sinister. He's a good counter. He's like the non-X-Men Sinister. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. That's probably not going to be it, but that would be interesting.
It would be. That would be.
If I knew they basically weren't going to reboot the universe in 2-3 years, I would say okay. I don't know though. We are talking about because God, you know what? That does. I mean, it does make comic book sense because the Maker, much like Miles Morales, is the only survivor of the only other survivor. Sorry, of the Ultimate Universe. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it, but that makes a whole hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah. That would be crazy dark. Like Frosty says,
it would be crazy because the Maker is fucking crazy dark.
They will lose a lot of normal people who don't know who the Maker is.
Agreed.
Unless Pedro Pascal does an amazing job of playing a deranged Reed Richards.
I bet he would.
Yeah. We'll see. He plays crazy good.
The Maker is such an interesting character because when you look at the Ultimate Universe versus the 616, all the ultimate characters are just a little bit different than their 616 counterparts. I mean, there's varying degrees there. But just like I was saying, Reed Richards is not magnanimous. And the fact that the Maker is his ultimate version really shows you how close to the edge of I don't know, evil maybe is a strong word. But yeah, Reed Richards is not, I don't know. He's just, he makes questionable decisions. He's not all pure and good, I guess. That's really up to Sue Storm to kind of rein him in.
Right.
So yeah, the Maker's not that. I guess my point is, sorry, I've not made it well. Is that the Maker, is maniacal and evil as he is not that many degrees removed from the actual 616 Reed Richards. And you can judge that by the rest of the Ultimate characters.
Right. Like that's the idea, is that if he doesn't have his family to stop him and rein him in,
Yeah.
you know, he becomes evil. So, well, that's it. That is what we came to talk about. We got it done. So I think that's good. Maybe we, you know what? Let us know in those comments down below. Did we miss any after credit scenes or any threads from the MCU that haven't been paid off on? Don't mention Secret Wars and
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. Oh my god, I did it again. And do you think we got, you know, are you think we're wrong on any of the ones we think that aren't going to pay off? But yeah, and with that being said, let us ask that question we do every show.
What do we learn on the show tonight?
What do you got for me, Don?
Well, I learned that you should never think about or mention Secret Invasion, because then it's just gonna go crazy thinking about who's the Skrull. So
Yeah.
There's that. What do I recommend? Boy, I really ain't watching much these days. I recommend that you watch us Wednesday night as we talk before Superman, and then of course Sunday, 7 days from today, we will talk about Superman.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll be looking to see if James Gunn can make a movie that's not a James Gunn movie. Because if they make James Gunn Superman a James Gunn movie, I'm going to talk a bunch of shit about it.
Yeah. I learned that and I'm going to throw Secret Invasion in the mix of all the after credit threads and whatnot. It feels like 8 out of 12 will never see the light of day, or most likely won't see the light of day of those threads. And that's not good. Just shows that they went through too long of a period where they were like too overconfident that things were just going to get done and get made. So I recommend, if you've gotten this far in the show and you haven't done so yet, hit that like button, click that subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you don't miss us when we go live Sunday and Wednesday nights. If you're so inclined, go check out our merch store. You know, buy yourself a Superhero Speak t-shirt. All the ladies dig them. At least that's what I've been told. And I do recommend, make sure you don't miss it. We're gonna be rolling out the Superman hype train on Wednesday night. Get in psyched for the movie this weekend. And then of course Sunday we will be reviewing it. We might have a special guest with us or two. We'll see. We're gonna try to make it happen. But yeah, I mean, we're going to be talking about the history of Superman and who our favorite Superman is, and we'll see. So, but that's what we got going on. So until then, as always, thanks for watching. Don't let your cape get caught in the door. See you next time.
If you haven't done so yet, subscribe. It really keeps this podcast alive. Smash the like button if you please. It gives us what we need. Maybe leave a comment or two. It's a really nice thing to do. And what